Hi there, Norman with iSaveTractors.com. In this video, I'm going to give you an overview of our Ford LGT 165. Now this tractor is referred to as a Ford LGT 165 close-sided. These close-sided tractors were made in the late 70s and early 80s by a company called Jacobsen. They are almost identical to the older Ford LGT open-sided, with a few differences that I'll explain in a moment. But first, let's start at the front. This tractor is equipped with a 42-inch two-stage snowblower. This was originally off of a Jacobsen style tractor and it was painted the original red and white colors, but during the restoration process I changed it to fit the Ford blue and white for the rest of this tractor. Now here's the front. These are the Snowblower Augers right here, and that's the impeller in the center. Now, a lot of modern-day snowblowers that you'd see would have a worm gear right here that turns the augers. But this one's a little different. Both the augers and the impellers, so let me come back here, are turned by chains. So this is a larger sprocket in the front that operates as auger. It's connected back here to a drive sprocket in the back here, and that's attached to a shaft that's then attached to a right angle gearbox. That gearbox is connected to a pulley underneath the engine compartment where the PTO of the engine turns that. Now the impeller right here on the other side of this is turned also by a chain and sprocket right there. That leads down to another right angle gearbox, which is right here. Now this is your drive gear, and then the other gear that's inside is turned by this sprocket as well. So there are two right angle gearboxes involved in moving this. This is a very strong setup. The fact that it's all driven by chains and shaft make it so this is very powerful. The weakest link here is the belt that's driven from the engine, but I'll show you some of the modifications I did to make it even stronger. We used the snowblower this past winter here in Maine, and it was very, very effective. There was really nothing that this thing could not handle this past winter. Now coming along here, the front of these Ford LGT close-sided are very handsome, a very square nose, and the reason we call these close-sided tractors is because these side panels are here. These side panels hence close the sides, and that's how we identify it. Now these side panels, the purpose of them is to keep the engine noise down, and I must say they work really well. I'm going to pull this off in a second and show you what's inside and what's on the other side of these panels to help with that. Now this shaft right here is for turning the chute, the snowblower chute. Normally it's actually mounted up here, but I'm not going to use this for much longer. I'm actually going to convert this to an electric system where a little motor will turn the chute 180 degrees back and forth. So this right here is just temporarily bungeed to this footrest, and it worked fine for my applications, but by the time this winter comes I'm going to be changing this. Before we look under the hood, let me just show you the rest of the outside of the tractor. This is the control panel. Now, the difference between these Ford closed-sided and the older open-sided ones is this right here. This plastic dash console is what's on the closed-sided tractors. Now, it's very, very difficult to find one of these consoles without a crack in it. They all have a crack up here where the hood latch is. And that's just, I've been searching. I have about 6 parts tractors of this exact one, and they're all cracked right there. I'm going to epoxy and plastic weld that together, but for right now it is still cracked. The older open-sided tractors, it's an all steel console, so you don't have to worry as much about that. So here's the dashboard. This is an hour meter, an AM meter. This is your throttle, your choke. Coming over here, these are your lights. It's your PTO switch, key ignition switch. Coming down here, this is your hydraulic lift. So you're gonna pull it towards you to raise the snowblower, push it away from you to lower the snowblower. This right here is your parking brake lock. This is your mower deck or snowblower position control. So this sets the lowest that it will drop. Right now it's set so it can drop the full range as low as possible. This right here is the shift knob for your rear end. So this tractor is equipped with a 2-speed rear end mated to an Eaton 11 transmission pump. So when this is in the forward position, it's in high range. When it's in the middle, it's in neutral, and then on the bottom it's the low range. Coming over here, these pedals, this tall one is your parking brake, or is just your regular brake. This one is your forward, and this one is in your reverse. Now, a little note about the model numbers for these Ford. The Ford LGT stands for Lawn and Garden Tractor. The number 165, the 16 stands for a 16 horsepower engine, and the 5 stands for a hydrostatic transmission. So the rear end on this is actually a Peerless 2500, and it's mated to an Eaton 11 transmission pump. Now, I'm going to come down here so you can see these transmissions and rear ends are awesome. They are perhaps the best ones for garden tractors. So here's just some specs. The output torque on these rear ends, the Peerless 2500s, is 1,200 foot-pounds. The axle size is 1 1/8 of an inch. With the transmission pump, the Eaton 11, you have an infinite number of variations in forward and reverse, meaning you can go as fast as full pedal or as slow as no pedal, and everywhere in between. There's an infinite number of combinations. Now, what makes these transaxles awesome is it's actually a cast aluminum case with cast iron axle supports. That kind of gives you the best of all worlds. So the cast iron axle supports right here make it so this thing can hold a ton of weight. The max weight that you can put back here, let's see here, is, see if I can find it, is 1,500 pounds. That's quite a lot of weight you can hand back here. And the cast aluminum casing of this rear differential makes it so it can shed heat a lot more efficiently. Aluminum cools much better and much faster than cast iron. So you kind of get all of it. Now, these axles are supported by ball bearings, and all the gears are steel cut, heat treated for extra strength. It has a limited slip differential with steel bevel gears. And this thing is just great. What you're seeing right now, this right here is a rear weight bracket that I fabricated to help offset the weight of the snowblower, as well as give this tractor extra traction in the snow. The way it works is I have these MTD 42-pound weights right here, suitcase weights. They're just filled with concrete. What they do is you stick it right on the back like that, and this bracket can hold 6 of them. So that's a lot of weight. So that's about, let's see, that's about 260 pounds, I think, that you can hang off the back here. That's pretty darn good. And, you know, if you correct my math, I could be wrong. I just kind of rounded it and threw it in there. So, coming over here, these are 23 by 10.5 by 12 inch wheels. These are chains, obviously. These are 75-pound wheel weights. No, I'm sorry, these are 50-pound wheel weights, one on either side. These tires I did not fill with fluid. It doesn't seem to need them. Now, this weight bracket that I made, it just connects with 4 bolts, 2 on this side, 2 on the other side, and it is very sturdy and secure. Now, these Fords are incredible tractors for people to collect and restore. One of the main reasons is they're actually very inexpensive. I don't know why, but these are a lot better than a lot of the old John Deere garden tractors, and if you were to try to find a John Deere on Craigslist, they really ask for a premium price. But these Fords, people don't ask a lot of money for these. So you can easily go find one on Craigslist for like $400, restore it, do what I did here, and have this amazing machine for not a ton of money. One of the things I forgot to mention, what's great about these Fords over other tractors is this seat has a little toolbox in the bottom, which is awesome. Our other Ford LGT that has the front end loader on it, I stash a ton of tools in here, like ratchet straps, chains, a wrench in case I need to fix something in the field. It comes in really handy, and it is pretty spacious. This seat also does move forward and back via this lever right here, which makes it great so you can fine-tune your position so you can be as comfortable as possible. Now let's lift up this hood. So this button right here is your hood latch. You push that forward, this hood comes up. What's great is these tractors also have a hood latch right here, a hood lever to help hold this up, which is nice. So when you're servicing it, these side panels, here I'll pull the side panel on the other side. These side panels also come off. They're held together with this spring right here. See if I can do this with one hand. You pull that spring out, and then this side panel leans out, and then you can just pick it up and lift it away. Now on the other side of these side panels is this fiberglass type insulation. It helps keep the engine noise to a minimum, and it does work really well. This tractor is much quieter than my other ones. So the engine in these Ford LGT 165s are these Kohler K 341 16 horsepower engines. These are fantastic engines. Our specialty here at iSafeTractors.com is developing and creating parts for these old Kohler K Series engines. This particular engine is mounted onto these rubber mounts on the frame. There's two right here, two on the other side. That again helps keep the vibration down, which in turn helps keep the noise level down. Here's that modification I talked about earlier regards to the snowblower. I added this idler tension pulley right here, which helps keep this belt tight. This belt right here is what runs the snowblower, so it prevents it from slipping if I get really, really heavy snow. And in the winters in Maine, we do get quite a bit of wet snowfall, and this works great. As you can see, the pulley looks like it's twice the size. The pulley on the snowblower, twice the size of the PTO pulley, so I do get a little bit of a torque increase there to help give the snowblower extra oomph. Now this K341 has an electric PTO clutch, which is right here. It's operated via 12 volts. It's a big electromagnet, pretty much. When you send 12 volts to it, it electrifies, and using magnetism, it sucks this pulley into itself, and then it turns with the crankshaft. It's an excellent system. I love these electric PTOs. They're much better than mechanical PTOs found on other tractors. So another thing that helps with the sound on these Ford LGTs is the muffler is completely enclosed right here. Again, Jacobsen and Ford did everything they could to maximize operator comfort. So this engine's very, very quiet. This right here is a big fuel tank. I believe it's about, I think it's almost 5 gallons. I think 3 gallons is the technical size, and it's plastic. And that's actually a good thing in this case. I complained about the plastic dashboard earlier, but a plastic fuel tank is great. You don't have to worry about this rusting or anything like that, and since the engine compartment is completely enclosed, this is very unlikely to get damaged. Now the drive system on this is, as you can see, the engine is forward facing. On this side, the flywheel side, there's actually a coupler that connects the engine to a solid steel drive shaft, and this is what turns the transmission pump. These shaft driven tractors are extremely powerful. There's no loss of power between the engine and the transmission pump with this method. It's much better than a belt drive. Under perfect conditions, if you were to weigh the tractor down enough, a belt will eventually slip on a pulley, especially as the belt and pulley wear over time. But this shaft driven style, as you can see, the shaft goes from here all the way through down here, and it's a big piece of steel. It looks like maybe 3/4 inch round that acts as the shaft. Makes it very, very strong. And this shaft is connected via bolts and not via a pin like on the Cub Cadets. It makes it, you know, I keep saying it, but it makes it extra, extra strong. That's why I love these Fords so much. Now, a question on a lot of people's minds is the Ford LGT capable of taking a front end loader and or a backhoe? And in short, yes it is. This is a fantastic candidate to fabricate any kind of heavy duty attachments. You can turn this into a dozer, a front end loader, or a backhoe. This tube frame is very, very, very robust. On our other Ford LGT with the front end loader attached to it, there are a ton of videos on my channel where I really abuse that thing, and there's no sign of frame damage anywhere. The only downside to this tubular frame is you can see kind of how it sweeps up at an angle right here. It makes it harder to fabricate stuff for it. Like when I did the Cub Cadet 149 tractor loader backhoe, it was much easier. The whole frame is square and everything is at 90-degree level, 90 degrees from each other. It's easy to attach stuff to it. This tube frame, a little bit harder. If you were to make a front end loader, the best place to attach your subframe is this section of steel right here. It's a section that's welded to this tube frame, and on ours, this bolt that I'm pointing to, this area is actually where we mount the primary subframe for our front end loader. Now the steering components on this are also very strong. It uses a Ross worm gear style steering gear. These are the best kinds of steering gears for old tractors. What it is there's a shaft that runs inside this tubular part that has a worm gear at the end. And then that turns a cam, which in turn turns this piece right here. And then that turns this heavy-duty tie rod. Look at this tie rod. It has a gusset welded in. It's big steel. The threads are big, much bigger even than my Cub Cadet. The spindles are very strong. Let me see if I can get a video for you. If I can get in there. The spindles have a built-in gusset right there, which makes it very strong. It's a 3/4 inch steel round with that gusset. It makes it excellent candidate for a front end loader. Now, a lot of people will always say, like, you know, upgrade your spindles, the stock spindles will break. Check out my videos of my Ford LGT with front end loader. Those use stock spindles, and I've loaded that loader up with everything imaginable, and there has been no damage at all. The important thing when you use a front end loader to maximize your maneuverability as well as your steering and components is to balance the tractor right. You don't want to put like 600 pounds in your front end loader and have nothing hanging off the back. You want to make sure that you know what you're picking up and you load the back accordingly. So on our other Ford, I have about 400 pounds hanging off the back of the tractor, and then it makes it so I can pick up 500 pounds on the front easily and not really tax many of the other components. So something to keep in mind. So here it is. I think I went over everything I wanted to with this Ford LGT. These are fantastic tractors. If you are just getting into collecting and restoring tractors, please think of iSaveTractors.com and definitely go out there and get a Ford. The parts are easily found. There's a lot of these Fords out there, and especially in the Northeast, they're very, very popular. My name is Norman with iSaveTractors.com. See you next time.